You're watching the Rollerson Broadcasting Network. This show is brought to you by Welcome to the Leon Rollerson Show. I'm Leon Rollerson, of course, and I'm here with, tell us who you are.
Johnny Lucille Brown.
Johnny Lucille Brown. My goodness, you're so clear on everything.
Yeah.
And tell us how old you are.
I'm 94 years old.
94 years old. That's kind of young,
I've
man.
been in Tulsa all my life. I was born here. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'm still here.
And what
so
year?
I like the city very much.
What year were you born?
July 5th, 1914.
1914. Wow. I was not very far from there. I was born in 46. That's not too far.
Yeah.
In your times of coming up in Tulsa, were there a lot of dirt roads in Tulsa at that time?
A lot of what?
Dirt roads.
Oh, definitely there were.
Okay.
Yes.
And on those dirt roads, did you have any horses or cars, or what was going on during that time?
Well, there were cars there.
Okay.
And I don't remember too many horses, but there were cars there.
Okay. Name me a fond memory that you have of being a child in Tulsa, being like 12 or 14 years old?
Well, I guess going to school each and every day. I enjoyed that.
Okay.
And going to church and Sunday school.
Now, Ms. Brown, the church that you attended was the old First Baptist Church, right?
Yeah, but I grew up there on the old First Baptist Hill. There, this is where I grew up. So of course I did attend that church as a little girl.
Now, First Baptist Hill, for our audience, I'm familiar with all these things you're talking about because I know who you are, of course. But the audience is not. The new First Baptist is on Greenwood.
Yeah.
Greenwood and Pine. But the old First Baptist was on Archer.
That's so true. And we lived. This is where I grew up, behind First Baptist, old First Baptist Church there. I think our house number was 31 North Kenosha. I'll never forget that. 31 North Kenosha, where we lived back there. And that is where we were living during the time of the race route. We were living back there.
Now, during that time, during all that wonderful time you're talking about, you had no computers.
No, nothing like that.
You had no television sets.
No television sets.
You had none of the things that we have today, all these conveniences that we have today, like quick trip stores. You had none of
we
those.
didn't have that.
So how did you do all the things you did?
Well, I don't really know how it happened. I sometimes wonder because we had no facility like a bathroom, and I sometimes wonder how we took a bath in a bathtub, in a big tub you wash in.
Right.
Then we take a bath in one of those tubs. I wonder how did we get in one of those tubs?
No, I don't know, but we did the same thing when I was a kid. We took a bath in those number 10 wash tubs.
We didn't have that. And
Okay.
we had no electricity there.
Oh, we had electricity. You had no electricity?
No.
So you had
We
what?
had gas lights, the lamp light, oil, put the oil in the
Kerosene
lamp
lamps.
there.
Okay.
And we had to pack, we had a well in the backyard.
Okay.
But our drinking water, we had to go down to Mr. Knight that lived next door to Joe Hodge, and we'd get our water from there.
Okay.
And have that for drinking, but use the well water to wash, do things like that.
My goodness. So what did you do for entertainment? What did you do for fun back then?
Well, that was very little entertainments there. We had the theater. We'd go to the show.
Oh, they had a movie theater?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Really?
The Dreamland Theater.
I didn't know the Dreamland was that old.
I think. Yeah, we would go to the show.
Okay.
And that was another one. What was that?
The Rex?
The Rex.
And the Regal?
Yeah. Yeah, we would go there.
And I imagine, but when you didn't go to the movie theaters, you probably maybe played hopscotch or jump rope, perhaps.
Oh, yeah.
And the guys shot marbles, shoot marbles.
Yeah, we would do things like that, play with our friends there.
But you were never bored, were you?
Never bored whatsoever. We didn't have the music, like you have today. I don't think we didn't even have a radio back then.
No radio, no television, no radio.
We didn't have a radio because we were very, very poor. We didn't have a radio.
Now, this is all during the time that you were living on Archer, over by Archer, right? Okay. That's amazing. That's an amazing story, as a matter of fact. And then as you were coming up, you went to Booker T. Washington.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Went to Booker T. Washington.
And that was an elementary school at that time, wasn't it?
No, it was high school.
It was high school? Oh, that's right. It was. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, because that's where I finished school there, from Booker T. Washington High School.
Booker T. was a high school, but it's not where it is now. It's over by Cameron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had to walk to school each and every day.
But it wasn't that far, though.
No, it wasn't that far for us. We enjoyed the walk.
Enjoyed the walk.
I enjoyed going to school each and every day.
And another thing is that in the summertime, you didn't have air conditioning.
No,
because you had no electricity, so you had no air conditioning.
We didn't have that.
So how did you bear the heat at night with the temperature being so high?
Well, during that particular time, you could sit on the porch and go to sleep and could get some air. Because, you see, our house faced the railroad tracks there.
Okay.
And so all we could really see wasn't afraid of anybody coming in doing anything to you there.
You weren't? You weren't afraid?
No,
nobody
bothered.
Why not?
Nobody bothered us up there.
Really?
Here, we didn't have anything like that.
My goodness. You would sleep on the porch.
Yeah, we would sleep.
And you would sleep facing the railroad, which is the dark part.
That's the way our house faced, right? Was the railroad.
And it was dark.
And it was dark.
And yet you didn't fear anything.
No, we wasn't afraid.
Wow. And then sleeping on the porch also meant that you would be lucky to get a small breeze, though. It would still be hot.
Well, if that was, we made it.
Yeah.
We made it because we didn't have any fans at that particular time.
You didn't have fans, you didn't have air conditioning, and you slept on the porch.
Yeah,
do you think that in this day and time you could still do that? You could go out and sleep on the porch?
No, because now I'm afraid after 6 o'clock I lock up my house. I'm afraid to get out after 6 o'clock.
Well, what about speaking about the 6 o'clock and all of that? If you just wanted to turn your air conditioner off and just open up the windows in your home, could you do that now with the heat?
No. I don't.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. I keep the windows down. Turn the air conditioner on.
It's amazing how we adapt.
Yeah, how times have really and truly changed a lot.
And even in the daytime, when the temperature surely got up to 95, 98, 100 degrees, there was still nowhere to go in the daytime. So you still made it all right, though.
Still made it fine. And I don't see. I'm accustomed to the heat and that. I guess because of being where I come from, outdoors there, being outside.
Well, that's all amazing because a lot of us can't quite see that happening. We can see the temperature getting up to about 80 degrees and we're ready to turn the air conditioners on. We can't take it. It's just too hot.
See, back then you couldn't do that because we didn't have that.
Practically no one had air conditioning. So it was just a universal thing for that to happen. And then, I'm trying to draw a picture here of you and all the wonderful things that were going on back during that time with no air conditioning. Now let's switch it to the winter time. In the winter time, of course, it got cold like it does now. And how did you heat the house?
Well, we had gas.
Yeah, gas.
Yeah, we had gas.
Okay.
So we could heat the house with the gas there.
Okay. So the winter time was not too much of a problem, then, was it?
No, not too much of a problem there because we did have gas. But then in the summertime, we had Iceman, that used to bring the ice in.
Yeah.
We didn't have refrigerators like they have now. Had ice boxes there. And each day the man would come in and bring some ice and put in your refrigerator.
And that's why they called it an ice box.
Yeah, we had ice
And
boxes.
that actually kept something cold.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's just really amazing. Now try to draw me a picture of going to school. When you were going to school back being a kid and everything, you went to Booker T and all. There were no air-conditioned classrooms. And it must have been very hot in the classrooms. It must have been.
No, I don't think so. We were comfortable.
You were comfortable?
We were comfortable. I can't remember, but we were comfortable. We were comfortable there in the classrooms. I don't remember what we had or what. But anyway, we were comfortable.
And the area that you lived in, which is also the area that I lived in, except it was a little bit farther down the timetable than when you were there. But there were neighborhood grocery stores. There were places to buy food.
Yeah.
There were places to buy dry goods.
Yeah.
Places to get your shoes fixed if you wanted to.
Remember, yeah.
And there were hotels. And there were just an abundance of places for you to do things. Drugstores and funeral homes. Just everything was in that area, right?
Yes.
And which is kind of different today because we don't have grocery stores in our area anymore.
No,
we have to go far away.
Not like we used to have. It was easy for us to go grocery shopping, because we had the markets kind of close by, not too far away. Because many times we didn't have cars, so we had to walk.
Did you walk a long way a lot?
Yeah. We walked to town many a day.
There you go. You would kind of think that since you are, and in my generation also, we had grocery stores and all, and so many other things like hotels in our area, and we don't have those things now.
No.
You would think that in one way we are advancing, but in another way we are declining.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Because on Greenwood, we would always go and get our little ice cream, go to the ice cream parlor. So it would be fun to do that, to go and get ice cream.
Before we finish up, tell me one of your fondest dreams of being a youngster. What's one of your best dreams of being a kid? Being a kid. What's one of your best dreams of things of doing?
One of the best things I can remember is that just having my little friends around to play with and to go places with, go to the parks. So we could go to the park at a park.
And go swimming.
Yeah.
Right?
Go
Go
to
swimming.
the park and play and play until long time.
Play until a long time.
To come home.
Okay. And then what else did you do?
Well, wasn't too much to do, to go to the movies there, and wasn't too much to do back in those days.
I think there probably are some things that you probably just kind of took for granted because I'm sure that you had a lot going on. I'm sure that you had a lot happening and you just kind of took it for granted and made it happen. And what about the hospitals? Were there any hospitals in the area?
Yeah, they had a hospital. Yeah, it was nice in high school.
No, hospitals.
Oh, the hospital.
Yeah. Were there hospitals in the area? Was Moulton there? Was
No, Moulton wasn't there.
Moulton wasn't there?
No, the hospital.
Mercy?
Was Mercy Hospital.
Mercy Hospital.
Was close by.
Okay.
Yeah, that was close by. Mercy Hospital, I remember that.
Okay, so actually you had hospitals close by, you had the hotels close by, the grocery stores close by, the cab stands close by.
Oh,
You
yeah,
had all of
we
that.
had for that. We had a jitney, you know, that's the way we got around.
Jitney, what's a jitney?
That was like a taxi, you know, like a bus, you know, we pick you up, the jitney.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of that. Right,
We
right.
called them jitneys back there in those days. And, they would take you to town. I think the fare was about a nickel or 10 cents to ride the jitney to
Well,
town.
also you had a trolley, I think, that went to
Yeah.
Sand Springs.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
back
yeah,
then.
that's right. I forgot about that. The
Aha.
19th of June, we would always
Yeah.
go there. I forgot about that.
See that?
Yeah, we would always go.
So there were a lot of wonderful things back in your wonderful days, right?
Yeah, it is.
What I want to do is to invite you on the show again so we can talk some more about the wonderful things that you went through back in 1915, 16, 17, and all that.
Would you do that?
Would you come back and tell us some more?
Yeah, it's so nice to be with you.
Well, I've had a wonderful, wonderful time, and I'm looking forward to the next time you come, Mrs. Brown. And this is very dear to me because you were there in the neighborhood that I was raised in, and you know a lot of people I know. You knew my mother, and you knew my father also, and so that makes it even doubly dear. So when I talk to you, I'm really talking from the heart. Okay?
Well, it's been nice talking with you.
There you have it. This is Mrs. Brown. She's 94 years old. 95 years old, right? 94 years old. And 94 years young. and all of that. And she's going to come back and tell us some more about the good old days back in the 1916s and 17s and that sort of thing. We're very glad to have you here with us. We're looking forward to the next time we see you.
Thank you.
That's it for this segment with Mrs. Brown. We'll be right back in a minute. Thank you for being here. I'm Leon Rollerson. This show is brought to you by
Hello, I'm Victor Grimes with Leon Rollerson Productions. We want to celebrate Donnie and Ronnie Stevens. They are they're the sons of one of the first 6 black Tulsa firefighters. Those 6 are Cletus Stevens, Merle Stripling, Clifford Horn, Robert Shanks, Milton Goodwin, and Henry Collier. And so we just want to do a few questions with Ronnie and Donnie today. Their dad was hired in 1956, March of 1956, and went to work at Station 19 in North Tulsa. And so we'll talk with Ronnie and Donnie and get a few more, a little bit more information from them. So, Donnie, can you tell me what made you most proud about being on Tulsa Fire Department?
One of the most proud things was being to follow my dad's footsteps. He was my role model then. We didn't have sports teams like they do now. Back then, my dad and family was my role model. And other guys that were rodeo cowboys, I looked to those guys. But following him as a firefighter, in his footsteps, and carried on tradition, being the second generation, was a big deal. I think we probably was the first second generation black firemen on the city of Tulsa. So when I came on the job in '77, there were a lot of white firemen. They all had brothers, family members, and in-laws on the job, you know. So that was
And still to this day, there's a lot of second and third and even fourth generation firefighters, but like you said, there's not a lot of them from our community. So that is something to be proud about. What about you, Mike?
Well, like you said, my dad was my role model because I watched him do everything. And just the people in our neighborhood and cowboys, and even Paul Reed, he was our garbage man. He always jump out truck and box with you a minute and dump the trash. So I'm like, I'm gonna be one of these guys one day, you know. So I felt the same way about that.
Great. So you talked about your dad a little bit, and so who probably had the most influence on you besides your dad on the fire department?
For me, I looked up to other black guys, the first 6. Henry Kyle was our neighbor. He lived 2 houses down, and they all worked together, and they were still friends off the job. I knew Clifford Horn and Robert Shanks, and I knew all of them, but Milton Goodwin. He was the only one because he quit a little early. But all the rest of them I knew real well. So these guys are still people I looked up to because I was seeing them react with their job they had, what they did.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to know Chief Stripling, And he definitely always was influential. Every time I saw him, he would always ask me about promoting. You know, he would always say, "Have you changed that badge yet?"
Yeah.
You know, so he wanted to promote. So he definitely was a big influence. What about you, Brian?
Well, like I say, my dad was a big influence, and these guys came to the house and visited, so we knew them personally. So to see them being firefighters, it made me want to be one as well. And when I made that decision, I'm like, I can do this. That's all I thought about. I can do this. That was the way I looked at it. I can do this.
So, what would you say would be the most challenging thing that you experienced when you're in your time in the fire department?
The most challenging thing I think was dealing with people who wasn't used to being around black people or just didn't treat you fairly. I had a problem with people who didn't treat you equal. That was my most challenging deal. But I thank God for some good people that helped me along the way with that. Me and my father would talk about a few things that I didn't like. Me and my brother would talk about them. And my first captain, J.O. Morris, he was an excellent guy. We was in a restaurant one day. They wasn't going to serve me, and they served him. I said, "You might want to step out, because it's not going to be nice in a minute." He said, "I got you back, I'm with you."
Yes.
And, hey, from then on, I knew he was in my corner. And Mike Malley was another guy that just, did things right. That's what I call it, just doing things right.
So, for a little context, your dad came on in '56. When did you come on?
I came on in 1976.
In '76, and you?
I came on in '77.
In
We took the test together, but they say couldn't hire us the same
In the same
class, which they do now. They just had on news, they had what, 2 of them hired.
Yeah, we have 7 brothers that's in the academy as we speak, yes.
So I came on in '77.
Okay. And then you retired when?
2008.
And you-
2010.
Yeah.
I did 31 years.
Wow.
Between him and my brother and my dad, and I have a sister currently works for the city. We probably getting close to 90 years of city of
Yes,
Tulsa
a
with
lot
the
of,
family.
service to the city of Tulsa. Right. That's great. So, what would be some advice you would give to the next generation of firefighters?
You know, I was on the job, my advice to a lot of guys, the young guys, I always try to tell them, learn your rules and regulations first off, what you do and can't do, and study and promote, and prepare yourself to retire. Don't just be here 20 years, 30 years and get nothing out of it. Start putting your money back to retire now while you're young. Pay yourself first. And that was my deal for them. Promote, get ready to retire. So don't leave here and go get another job. You don't have to do what you have to do. That's my idea. And then, a lot of them I tried to school them on what to do and not to do and what you can't do.
Yes. Yeah. You, I remember, you doing that with me.
Yeah.
Talked about, preparing for the next thing and, about dealing with people, just dealing with people.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Ryan?
Well, I try to tell the young guys, hey, learn the rules and regulations, like he said. That's the main thing, because you don't know what's right or wrong, but you can tell them what's right or wrong if you learn the book. So you can take care of yourself. You got a way to defend yourself. I say the next thing, to them financially, make it count. Have something when you leave the job. I said that's the main thing. I think get some 401ks and stuff like that, because when we first came on, the fire department didn't have that.
Right.
I say start one on your own. Like I say, pay yourself first. And you have something to do something when you leave this job. Again, you really appreciate that you did some good.
So, let's just talk about some memories you may have.
Memories? I had some good memories and some bad ones too. Well, I made some good friends on the job and some not too good guys,
Right.
That's just the way, when I came on in '77, back then was when afros, cornbread and hair. I was black and proud, and I thought things had changed from what my dad went through when I came on. When I came on, I found out they hadn't, because I still work with some old guys that are still on the job and in upper management and supervisor. So it is a kind of rude, when I came on the job, you didn't see another black guy till your next shift. We had 3 shifts, A, B, and C, and you worked with another white guy. It was a cultural difference.
Right.
I wasn't raised to be prejudice, raised everybody the same, that they were just as good as you. But, but dealing with that was hard, because if you didn't hunt, fish, and play golf, you wasn't very much you talked to about,
Right.
And all these guys were brother-in-laws and in-laws, and they all went to school together from the same little town, and they had their own little, it was cliquish,
Yes.
And probably still is like that, until I hear some of the guys talk about it. But that was hard to deal with, but, you adapted. And, you know, one time I see another black firefighter, we made runs, maybe one from another company, 19 was another company, we'd run together and we would talk, you know, and get to visit. That was unique. And probably the best skill, the last 10 years of my job, probably the most enjoyable. I worked with some younger guys, had different attitude, we got along good. And then when I was stationed with other blacks, I had somebody to talk to. You know, we had a lot more in common. Yeah, and we knew each other. So that was a good deal.
Do you have any memories you want to share?
Yeah, I had some good times on the job. I met some good guys on the job. And some of my most memory deals is being able to sit down and the guys that I did relate to talk about old times. There was a guy named Alvin McIntosh was on the job. He was an old cowboy. And he was a friend of my dad's. And he'd come to my house and eat dinner and everything. But he would always have something good to tell you or something. And sometimes I thought they treated him wrong. And they would send him for a travel. And I would tell him, hey, you stay here. I got that, you know. I'm younger, I go. He said, no, I got it. But he could always do a job no matter what, as strong as an ox, too, in his old days. But that was a good memory working with him because we could talk. And being on the job, I delivered a child once, lady, and that was a memorable thing because it's like, man, this is happening right here. You know, you can't do nothing but take care of it, you know. And there was a course where it was other guys could have did it. And they push you back and say, you go do it. You got it. You're doing good. Keep going, you know. And to deliver somebody's child and see our child come to life and breathe is an awesome thing.
That's something you always remember.
Yeah, I always remember that.
Another good memory. And in I think it was 96, I was nominated for Firefighter of the Year, and then my crew was nominated for Fire Company of the Year, which we didn't win. But anyway, I made a rescue that they make movies of. And it was a 2-story house, smoke coming out top. And, you know, I did the survey, walked around. There's a pregnant lady in the window, took a ladder, ran up and got her down, brought her down the ladder, and she went and labored that evening. And what's, kind of different about it, there was a fireman, Wayne Ratliff, it was his son's wife or girlfriend at the time that was pregnant that I rescued. So that was, you can help somebody. You know, I like doing anything to help somebody like that. And that was just a great deal right there. I mean, they make movies and stuff like that, you know.
Great. Well, you know, I have to say that I appreciate you guys and the way that you paved the way for those of us that came in the next generation. You know, you made an impact, and it's significant, and it's appreciated by me.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Young guys, a lot of things are proud when you come up and give me, as I say, the old folks say, give me flowers while I'm living. And figure, man, you listen to that? Ran across some Rucker here not too long ago, and I was asking, hey man, remember when I told you, he just started repeating her birthday. Like, wow, you know. A lot of guys say, yeah, when I saw it, we came through your state, we knew we was gonna get to talk. But you guys are doing a great job, and it's great to see you promoting.
I thank you for spending some time this afternoon and sharing this.
It's been a pleasure.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm Victor Grimes with Leon Rollerson Productions. Thank you.